In this video, I'll be replacing the center console frame and hinge component on a 1988 Porsche 944, as well as discussing some common issues with this repair. The Porsche 944 features a cassette box insert within the center console that provides a little storage space, whether it's for actual cassette tapes or other small items. This combined insert and hinge assembly is often referred to as the cassette box frame, the armrest hinge, or the center console door hinge. The thin plastic hinge has a tendency to crack and separate over time, so replacing this is a fairly common repair. The problem with the design is that when opening the console lid, the latch release button has to be pressed both inward and downward in order to flex the plastic frame material, which requires an awkward thumb and hand movement. So what ends up happening, as the button is usually pressed inward with each opening, stress is applied to the leading edge of the hinge, where a small split develops over time and eventually the hinge just snaps in half. The console hinge on this car was previously replaced in 2019, so about 5 years ago, and during which time the car was only driven about 5,000 miles in total, so it's a little disappointing to see another broken hinge at this point, but luckily new parts are still available. The cassette box hinge for the early 944 models, manufactured between 1983 and 1985, is available for about $25 via part number 928-555-729-0301C. The later hinge for model years 1985 and a half and later is available via part number 944-552-553-0101C, where the part cost has doubled over the past 5 years from about $37 to an average price of about $76 today. The best price, however, is currently available from 944store.com for about $55, which is where I got this one, along with a new set of cassette racks and the partition panel. So if you're considering this repair, 944store.com would be my first stop for parts. Replacing the cassette box frame is pretty straightforward, as it's secured to the console by just 4 Phillips head screws, 2 at the front and 2 at the rear of the assembly. The front screws are revealed by removing the ashtray, which pops straight out, and the rear screws can easily be removed whether or not the cassette racks are installed. Once the tray insert is removed, the armrest pad or console lid will need to be swapped over to the new frame. It's secured to the frame by another 9 Phillips head screws, size 2.9 by 13mm. If some of your screws are oxidized or missing, replacement screws are available for about $1 a piece via part number 900-144-01707. During this step, you may discover that the adhesive for the inner cloth liner has failed, or that the liner is damaged or missing. In this case, I had previously cut a new piece of textured black vinyl to match the car's interior and glued it to the underside of the lid. With the armrest secured to the new frame, the cassette box assembly can be reinstalled at the center console area. As a side note, the plastic cassette racks can be removed and installed with the tray in place by gently flexing them at the center to release the mounting tabs. The partition panel is a little thicker, however, and is more easily removed and installed, while the cassette tray is not in position on the console, so this is a good time to make any cassette tray changes per your preference. The center console frame is installed in the reverse of removal, so go ahead and place it back into position with the lid open and loosely install the 2 screws at the front of the assembly, followed by the 2 at the rear. Once the screws are threaded and the alignment is centered, all the hardware can be tightened down. Lastly, the ashtray can be pushed back into place to complete the repair, and now you have a new console hinge that should hopefully last more than 5 years. On that note, I have seen a few custom repairs where a pair of metal leaf hinges were screwed into the adjoining frame sections, and while certainly functional, it doesn't always provide the cleanest factory appearance. There are a couple other options to consider for the later cars as well, the first of which is the 968 Club Sport console tray, which deletes the armrest altogether in favor of an open tray design that provides a cleaner factory look. This open tray and textured liner setup can be found under part numbers 944-552-155-001DB and 944-552-16100, where costs for the 2 parts total around $125. Another option involves an aftermarket replacement tray like this one from Auto Atlanta that features a semi-open design with a circular cutout for a cup holder, which could be useful. While this option looks fairly decent, the pricing is a little higher at $170. Personally, I favor the 968 Club Sport tray option and may consider that if the console hinge fails again in the near future.